Hey, good morning. Good to be with you in Second Samuel 5. And what we're going to see today is that David is finally recognized as king over Israel. Now, he was anointed way back in First Samuel 16. The Lord anoints him and says, "You're going to be king." But then he doesn't become king until now. So he's been in Saul's house. He had to run from Saul because Saul was trying to kill him. He was in the wilderness in Ziklag, and then he became king in Hebron. He was king in Hebron for 7 years, and now we finally have come to David being made king over Israel. And I wonder how often we get or we read God's promises in His Word, and if they don't come to fruition, if they don't happen right away, we immediately give up on His promises. And what we see is David doesn't give up. He doesn't even try to overthrow Saul. He trusts God's promises. He trusts that it's going to happen, that it's going to work out the way that God promised, and he waits and waits and waits for God to do it. We, as a people in the modern age, in the postmodern age, have become so impatient. We've lost our ability, or we've at least given up on the ability to wait on the Lord. We really don't know what it means to wait on the Lord. We don't practice that. We don't try to wait on the Lord. We are so trained by our society, and we're so trained by our culture to have what we want when we want it, that we push that into faith. And if it doesn't happen immediately, if my prayers don't get answered immediately, then I'm questioning if God is actually real, or if He is going to do anything, or if He's going to act. We could just see in our society, if we don't have money, that's no big deal. Just charge it. If we don't have dinner, that's no problem. There's probably a Taco Bell or McDonald's within 20 minutes of you. You could just drive there and be fed, no time. If you don't have friends, that's not a problem either. You just get a Facebook account or some social media, and you'll have friends like crazy. You don't have to wait to build relationships anymore. You could at least pretend like you have friends. If you don't know what a passage says in the Bible, or if you don't even like how the pastor says this is what the passage says in the Bible, that's okay. You could just log online and get whatever you want from there. So we've been so trained to find someone to tell us what we want, to get what we want when we want it, what we want to hear, and we don't wait on the Lord. So you see, one of the beautiful things about waiting for the Lord, and for us and for David, is that the Lord is preparing us to trust Him. When we learn to wait on the Lord, He is showing us in those times that He's going to accomplish His will. So in the meantime, we need to just trust Him. Whatever comes our way, we trust Him. We keep our eyes on His promises. His promises are as good as finished. They're done. So we learn to trust in Him. We even see this in Jesus' example. As a young man, Jesus has to be prepared. He humbles himself, so he becomes an infant. He has to learn how to walk. He has to learn how to eat solid food. He has to learn. He sits in the synagogue and learns. So he is waiting on the Lord also. He doesn't just come down and everything is perfect and he just he takes over. That's not how it happens. He waits and he grows and he learns, and he even dies and waits 3 days to be resurrected. So we see that Jesus is our perfect example. And we too, church, we need to learn to wait, and even to relish the times, to enjoy, to learn how to grow in those times of waiting, for we're being prepared. God is preparing us to do what He wills. So we have to remember that in these times, they might be hard. We are ready to be out of quarantine. Some are still in quarantine. We're ready to be out of lockdown. We're ready to be out of a season of rioting and a season of pandemic and all of that. We're ready to be done with all of it. But we can learn that even though this is hard and it's filled with suffering and difficulty, the Lord is doing something great. And we know that because we see that He's doing something great. He promises to be. We have the whole Bible where we see that it takes years and years and years for Him to fulfill a promise to people. But in the meantime, He's growing them. He's preparing them to receive that promise. Just look at Abraham and how long it took for him to receive a son. But when he did, he was ready to have that son, ready to give that son up for the Lord. So when the Lord decides to fulfill His promise, we'll be ready, and He will continue to bless us. So look at, if you're in the Word with me, or listen to 2 Samuel 5, verses 10, 11, and 12. And David became greater and greater, for the Lord, the God of hosts, was with him. Remember, this is David being prepared. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David and cedar trees, also carpenters and masons who built David a house. And David knew that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and He had exalted His kingdom for the sake of His people, Israel. He prepared him. He waited, and then He blessed him whenever he was ready to receive that. So may we learn to wait on the Lord like David does, and remain to be faithful, and know that He will bless us. So I pray that you have a great day. Learn to wait on the Lord. Do a Bible study. What does it mean to wait on the Lord? How is He calling me right now to wait on Him, especially in this time of crisis? So God bless you. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.